Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Series 4, which we're doing within the Supervision Series, and we'll be doing a corporate social responsibility, ethics, and sustainability. And you're either taking me an online class or a face-to-face class or in one of my workshops. So let's start with, real quickly what CSR are. It's not customer service relationships, but corporate social responsibility in this content. And so what do we have here? I'm going to open this up, and you already have one of my concept maps or the reading materials that you've been following along. So if I look at corporate social responsibility, it's obligations to help solve social problems, managerial obligations to take corrective action that protects, improves both the welfare of society as a whole and interest. In simplistic words, corporations have a social responsibility similar to what an individual would have. They're supposed to be producing high quality products to help increase marketability, and at the same time it's running parallel to helping not only people buy the product, but the products are safe and benefit to the society as a whole. Okay? Let me just go real quick. Let me just make this see, 300 is too big. Well, maybe it's a little bit easier to read, to see. Okay? Okay, so now we'll close that one off, and let's look at the next one. The next one I'm going to be talking about, and I'll, maybe it's a little bit too big. Again, work with me here, 200. 200 is about right. Okay, so if I'm looking at this next one, I'm going to be talking about the Davis corporate social responsibility model. The Davis model has 5 steps to it. The first one is that social responsibility arises from social power, and I have, I'll agree with him on that. Let me just go on here. Let's see if I go 250. I'm a little bit bigger. Some people have been complaining that when they're reading it, they can't see it. But oh, there we go. This is perfect. Good size, okay? The second one is that, so we'll have that one. The second one is business shall operate. I'll just close these off so you don't have to see them until I go to them. Is business shall operate as a two-way open system. Open receipt of inputs from society and open disclosure, which are basically talking about transparency in a business type vocab, for lack of a better word. Okay, what is the cost? The cost and the benefits of activity of the product and the service should be calculated thoroughly and considered in deciding whether to proceed with it. You still have to look at it from a bottom line, the cost. I'm still a business. I'm operating as a business, even though I'm a supervisor. Looking at this, I have to look at that. What's the best good for the business and society as a whole? No different than when I'd be doing it for my own family and then looking how do I help others. You always try to take care of yourself. I'm not saying I'm a saint or anyone's a saint or a holy person, a righteous person, for lack of better words, but human nature is we take care of ourselves. Once we take care of our own basic needs, we should be able to take care of others. So when a corporation is suffering or having issues, and you got to do what you have to do for survival. But if the corporation or your company is doing well, you should have the social responsibility to help. Social cost of each activities, product, or service should be passed on to the consumer. It's part of the things, part of doing business. Because what happens, more people like my product. It's helping society, just like an individual. He or she has his revenue, and they basically provide or give to other people that need the helping hand. Okay, business institutions are, for lack of better words, they are citizens. Have the responsibility to become involved in certain social problems that are outside the normal areas of their business functionality. That's what the Davis model. Let's talk about ethics. Ethics are standards and principles, govern behavior by which people distinguish what is morally right or wrong. Some believe it, others, some believe, and some believe that organizations and their employees have the obligation to behave ethically, even if doing so cuts into short terms, and others believe that they shouldn't be doing it. So now if I look at this from a perspective, and let's talk ethics in general. A lot of people confuse ethics with law. If I look at law, and I'm just using this as an example, abortion in the United States is legal by the law. Is it ethical? Ethics is above my moral values. If I believe that I'm a woman and the body is mine, I can do what I want with it, and that life doesn't conceive till the baby's born or a certain trimester, whatever. Please don't get me involved. That's one point of view. The other point of view is that I believe the minute we have conception is when the baby is life belongs. That could be a religious view or your own personal value. So you have one that says it's morally right and one that says it's morally wrong. But legally, by the law, says the majority of the individual says you have the ability to choose. Okay, so remember, ethics above and beyond what's in the law. Okay, now where employees report ethical labs. And if I'm looking at this, and here's just something else, and it's kind of a little big. They report on the hotline. They report outside the company. 4% other responsibles, higher levels managers. Most of it reported to your first line supervisor, supervision. So if you hear something that's ethical, even when you say, "Oh, that's not my department," let them worry about it. You are still part of the organization as a manager. You have the responsibility. If someone says someone is harassing someone, or someone's being disrespectful to someone, or someone is being having some sexual abuse to an individual, or is being racist to some individual, you should, as a supervisor, even though he or she is not underneath your power of authority, you have to report it to that supervisor. You are the representative of the organization. Okay? So that made that easy. So you had the whole thing on here. And basically that's what the whole thing I had in here. Now, benefits to ethical behavior. If I look at benefits to ethical behavior, it does help a lot of benefits, not only for you as a supervisor, but reputation of the vendor. It makes the customers want to do business with you, suppliers. What we would talk about, stakeholders. Everyone who touches my organizations or my department, internal, external, is basically a stakeholder. If I do something that's unethical or I'm dishonest, right away they don't trust me, I lose my reputation. Investors go out of their way to select companies who have a good track record of ethical behavior. If you treat your employees badly, most likely you will treat your customers badly. If you rip off your employees, most likely you're going to rip off your consumers or your suppliers. Okay, that's a different behavior. The next one we're going to be looking at is unethical behavior. And if I look at the company, it's supposed to be single, I forgot the S. Single-mindedly focus on sales and profits. That's what the companies focus on. Could create an environment which employees feel they have to bend the rules to make the number or the company want to. Again, we'll talk about the supervisors through this whole concept map, this whole series. We are basically talking about the supervisors. That's why I didn't mention nothing in here, because a lot of this all pertains to me as a supervisor, first line supervisor, or a manager. Is what we are, okay? And now employee. Fear that they need to be unethical to save the company's future, to be treated as a team player. If you see the manager and other people get promoted because they're doing unethical behavior, I want to be part of the team. Maslow's social responsibility. When you go Maslow's hierarchy, we all want to belong, and sometimes we belong. Now remember, you want to belong to fit in, but once you begin to fit in and pick up their values, their moral compass, your moral compass changes a little bit. Just keep on changing. This is acceptable, acceptable, acceptable. It's not where you started off, where you had your compass here. This is definitely not wrong. And you say, oh, that's a little gray, I'll go that way. Remember, so be careful about what unethical behaviors you accept. If you say it's only at work, but remember, you're a whole different components, so it does affect your whole body and your whole personality. Okay, code of conduct. When I look at code of conduct, and people, when we talk about ethics, come from different values, come from different cultures, have different ideas what is ethical. I grew up in a city, a little different ethical understanding than some of my suburbanites friends, and we have a different ethical understanding than some of them may be in the Middle East, or we have a different ethical understanding. Some of them may be from the European, or a country is a little more corrupt. Not that we're not pure, but we're not the worst. We're definitely not the best. Okay, so you have these different cultures, different companies, different upbringings, different families, different peer pressures. So when their individuals are working with me, when they're in contact with me, I create a code of ethics. A written statement tells my employees and all stakeholders, vendors, suppliers, customers, here's the rules that we follow. We treat employees right. We have this purchasing policies. We do not get to political campaigns. We have ethical dimensions, and we list them. And so now, if I look at this, they have some examples, Johnson's and Johnson's. If I look at this, they've got their responsible to our employees. We believe first responsibilities. We're responsible to the common good of the organization. And final. So that's one for Johnson & Johnson. Coca-Cola has another one. If I look at Coca-Cola, and this is something, if I look at Coca-Cola's one, ensure that people you supervise understand the responsibilities of the company, take opportunity to discuss the code and reinforce the importance of ethics, create environment where employees feel comfortable, consider conduct in relationship to code and other company policies when evaluating employees, never encourage or direct employees to achieve business results at the expense of unethical conduct. These are all self-serving. But you have to let your employees know this is what I'm looking for. Because remember, different what's acceptable and believable in one culture may not be acceptable in another culture. Now, when I look at supervisor's ethical dimension, a supervisor basically creates the culture, the atmosphere, the surroundings, the interaction between team members and the organization. So we're going to go this way real quickly. I'm just going to close these off, and we're going to go with the cube figure. And if I look at the cube figure, in the cube figures you have loyalty, fairness, and honesty. Those three things, if a supervisor lacks any one of them, like it or not, you're going to start having clashes, and people are going to have ethical concern. You're going to have what they call an ethical dilemma. They want one thing, this thing. They don't trust you anymore. They don't think you're honest. They don't think you're loyal to them. You're not watching their back, for lack of better words. And that's a big concern with my direct reports when I was in management, is that they said when I had to let an employee, like a judge trying to see which way would be the best course of action, sometimes my first line supervisor felt that I wasn't loyal to him. I didn't back his back. And I said, I got to look at both employees. Here's the situation, trying to give them a break, but still keep your credibility and your integrity so the employee doesn't come and laugh in your face. That is not my intent. Remember, but I'm looking at that. So I understand, and I have to be fair between you and everyone else. So when I'm looking at it, in those situations, that's what they call the cube. Those three things. You got loyalty, fairness, and honesty. So when I look at loyalty, I have to be, as a first-line supervisor, loyal to the organization, to the managers, and to my subordinates. It can result in a conflict and a dilemma. Sometimes my management direction as a first-line supervisor, or certain laws or requirements, or something that's coming, some forces, environmental forces that are legal, and I have to do some kind of changes, or laying off, or reducing, or for lack of modifying some kind of work activities. I'm in a conflict. I understand how that person feels, but I have to look at the organization as a whole. If I don't do this, it's going to suffer, and we as a company as a whole, our stockholders, or the employee, or the owner, or anyone's going to suffer. So remember, it does create conflict in all of these. The next one is fairness. Employees expect to be treated even-handedly, not because that's my brother-in-law, or that's my family member, or he's my friend, or he's my neighbor. I should treat him fairly, in respect. Your supervisor should avoid nepotism. That means I bring in family members or brothers, and I treat them differently than the regular employee. What you basically find out in small businesses, when the owner brings his son or his daughter, he or she, in many cases, are a lot more stricter on them because they're concerned about this nepotism with the employees saying, the dad is the owner. Eventually, they may be, you got to be careful because, he is still his son. If something happens to the father or to the mother, whoever's running the business, or to the daughter, she will take over the business. Now, this biggest one is honesty. Give credit where credit is due. Don't take the credit because people won't give you any new information. You know what I mean? If they came up with it, they came up even with the idea. I will always give the employee, Jackie or Jack came up with this idea, real simple, and then I may write 20 pages. The employee says, I only came up with my idea. I didn't write all that. I understand that, but I didn't have that idea. I'll give you credit. Now I have employees give me more credit because give me new ideas because I'll send it up the ladder. I'll give them the recognition. Or if there's any kind of bonus and kind of reward, I'll get a reward. I will try to share that appropriately. All right, you have to look at it that way. Your behavior is honest. Encourage employees. If you're dishonest, the employee's going to cheat because they think that's part of business. This was going to make you happy. Be honest about your organizations. What could happen? A lot of times people are trying to get new employees to stay. They make up things that there's no way in heck the company could deliver. Okay, making ethical decisions. Involve others in the process. When I'm looking at an ethical decision, I try to get more people to get a buy-in to make sure that I'm not having the halo effect, to make sure that my own bias is coming out, to make sure that I'm not looking at my own emotions coming out. So I bring different people to, some are involved in the process, some may be outside of the process, but have a level head and understand the process and see it from someone that's not wrapped up in the emotions or the moment at the time, okay? And then include ethical standards and performance and decision making. All right. So when I look at this one is when I make goals and everything else. Do I make the goals that the only way those goals could be achievable if that person cheats or manipulates the data a little bit? And that's not what we want. Okay. Now, steps to take when an employee is suspected of unethical behavior. Remember, these are just general steps. If you're in a union, I used to be in the IBEW union, the Electrical Brotherhood workers. If I'm, Brotherhood Sisters, they've changed a lot now because we have a lot of women coming into in that field. Before I went into the managerial and worked my way up within the organization. But you have to, so if you have union procedure, agreement procedure, you have to follow those. But they follow the same pattern. Gather and record evidence, confront the employee with the evidence, follow the organizational disciplinary procedures or union grievance, whatever you have it. Look for and correct the conditions, even though it's going through the process, and make sure it doesn't happen again that led to the problem. Okay, so those are real simple steps to take. Now, the other one I'm going to talk about whistleblowers. When I look at whistleblower, discloses what one believes is wrongdoing. Sometimes they believe what's wrongdoing. It's not really wrongdoing. It's just because, again, you have certain moral issues or ethical issues that they're looking at it and they say this is wrong. But in reality, the law says there's no problem with it. So so they're looking at this way to change it. I'm not saying all. I just want you to keep an open mind. Remember, this is a supervisor. Why is this person bringing this up? Why, he's making me look bad. Not really. You have to look at the individual, where he or she's coming from. Remember, you try to step into empathy. You try to step into their shoes to see where they're coming from. So the whistleblower's hope is that the negative publicity will spur organizations to do the right thing. Sometimes they don't have to go outside the organization. They may talk to your boss or may talk to somebody else and to bring it in, but you still kind of rubs you, man. There you go with the trust. Remember, with the Q figure, the trust and honesty. They want me to be trustful. They want me to be honest. They want me to be loyal. I expect my employees who are working for me to be honest, to be trustful and loyal, as long as I'm not violating the laws or anything else. Talk to me first on that. Okay, so now we've got the whistleblower. The last one's done. We've got that. The law, there's federal laws protecting employees who make complaints pertaining to violation, anti-discrimination laws, environmental laws, occupational safety law. Don't make up something. These are the laws the federal government will protect. If you don't like it, your boss is a jerk or he's got a bad attitude and he doesn't violate any of the laws, you're not really whistleblowing. He's just got a bad boss who's got a bad temper and he's not doing any sexual harassment. It's not a hostile environment. He's just a jerk. Those things happen. You don't want to be that jerk. You could treat employees with respect. You treat them with respect, they'll give you respect back. They'll give you 120% more. Some will not, but majority of people, you treat them well, they're always watch your back and they'll help you out. Trust. And then they're on both sides of the fence, okay? The other one's the Sambrato's Oxy Act or Sandberry's Act, for lack of better words. It's hard to say. This all came with the corruption with Enron and the accounting principles, all the new rules and procedures coming in. But that basically forbids employers from retaliating against an employee who reports possible accounting, auditing, or reporting misdeeds that deceive investors. So you can't do that because they're protected underneath there. And the reports on companies that are cheating the Civil War era. So if you know a vendor, you're working for a vendor that is supplying or the U.S. Army or some kind of a governmental activities, state or local, and they're ripping them off, you could basically, there's a law that protects you, say that you get 20% of the fine that what do you call it, that the government collects. You're authorized to that. The other one I'm going to try to, I lost my train of thought, excuse me. The other one I was trying to, is treatment of whistleblowers. When I look at a whistleblower, they often suffer from going public with their complaints because many organizations are protecting ethic-minded employees and company. And here's what I'm looking at. People shun them. You think the people, if they're doing something, and let's say it's a true concern, truly unethical act that the organization is doing, doing something wrong, harming someone, or doing some kind of a chemical mixture or something in the food that's poisoning people, whatever. So they come up. Now, what happens is you think, or sexual harassment, or racism, or whatever. So when it does come up, what happens is that you would think the employees, the subordinates, the teams would network around them and help them, saying, hey, you did a great job, we're really proud, we know this is wrong, we admire you. What happens is people shun away from them because they say, well, management's going to think I associate, I'm part of it, or hey, if he turned management in or a supervisor in or something with the organization, is he or she going to turn me in? I'm not saying this right. I'm just saying look at the mentality that happens. So people kind of hold back and they'll go into that. Okay, now, discourage reports of wrongdoing. Supervisors. Now, if there's something wrong, a lot of times you're the one that they come to. Remember when you look at that the scale, 46% of unethical behavior are reported directly to the first-line supervisor. Not middle manager, first-line supervisor. They trust the first-line supervisor because you are in contact with him or her more than anybody else, okay? So they already trust you on that. Remember, you keeps on popping up. Remember, as a supervisor, you should not discourage reports of wrongdoing because they come up to you. And don't be motivated by pettiness and retaliation because they turned something in and it makes you look bad because you said can't you control. And sometimes it's pressure you get from top management. Investigate the complaints quickly and report what will be done to the individuals. Okay, and the last one we have is sustainability. When I look at sustainability, you heard that concept all over. Organizations have to do things ethically to sustain the company. So you can't borrow, and ethically, you're going to run out of money, and the company is going to go under. Something like what the U.S. government is doing, just printing more money. But hopefully that'll never happen, and then we'll come around and bring the economy. But so organizations' ability to meet its present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Steps towards sustainability. Set sustainability goals. Could we achieve this? Don't spend more than you have to. Don't expand more than you have to. Contract if you don't have enough individuals or cash right now. Instead of, expansion looks good, but I don't have the money to expand. I get too big, I can't deliver on there. I make promises I can't happen. Eventually, I become unethical. They don't trust me, not only as a company, but also as a supervisor. When I set dates and priorities, I lose my credibility. Hire people with sustainability skills that know how to save money, how to make money on money. And it's also sustainability. Once I plant the seed, it grows. I save some of the seed to put back into money, or what we call in business retained earnings. You don't give everything back to the stockholders. You have to keep money to put back in to buy supply, to buy materials, and then that grows and it expands. Sometimes you got to keep the money and put it someplace else and open up a new market so you could grow. Just like you need a new house, you need a new shirt, you need a new car. You basically save money for it, you put it away, and then you purchase that because that's part of getting you to a new job, or just to have a nice new car and saying, look what I've been working for. Okay, a reward contribution to sustainability. If an individual could increase productivity but keep the cost down, it could be sustainable, not a one-time deal because I'm whipping them. Got to get it done, work on them, or watch them like a hawk, and everything else. But afterwards, they just give up because they say, hey, I can't take this long. Like a runner, he could sprint real fastly, but could he go for the long run? I had a foreman tell me his daughter looked at it like this way. She says, I'm a racing horse. I go fast. I go quick. But, you know what I mean? I get all the glory, but mine is only short term. I am not a workhorse that basically takes the car company for a long time. So if I'm looking at your employees and reward word sustainabilities. I'm looking at ones that not a one-time deal, but the ones that will keep the company or that process going for at least 5 years. Sustainability, track the progress, sustainability over the time. Okay, so if I look at this is our series 4 as within the supervision series, and we're talking about corporate social responsibilities, not ethics. A lot of times people start off with ethics first, and you look at, oh, what's wrong with ethics? We're looking at corporate social responsibility. Corporations are just like individuals. They have to be responsible to the to the people that they serve, to the areas where they have their plants and establishments. And I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you very much. Like I said, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and this is the conclusion. And Series 4, my grandson came into this, so I had to put it on pause. That's why it's been going back and forth. But otherwise, we'll see you back online. And this is, corporate social responsibilities. Like I was mentioning before, a lot of times we start with ethics, but as a corporation is just like an individual. He or she has to be responsible to the people that basically keeps them going. And we should be honest and fair and transparent to everyone around us, because they're our stakeholders, and we all have to be in it together. Whether I'm a corporation or individual, we are one network in one environment. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. Bye.